Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Purple Penny weekly coin video, the live video that we hold at 12 p.m. Adelaide time every Monday. This is, I think, the 51st or 50th time we've done this year, and it might be the last. I haven't decided if I'll be doing one next Monday, but we'll see what happens. My wife and I, Catherine, run the Purple Penny, which is a small coin shop in Adelaide. Just we're a husband and wife team, both coin collectors, and this is something that we decided a few years ago we'd try. We're having a fairly good time with it so far. It's all good fun. It doesn't feel like work, which is all you can ask for, really. The week that was wasn't that memorable, actually, because I can't think of anything spectacular that happened. We had our usual comings and goings. The last of the Aboriginal flag rolls left the shop this week. Orders that were waiting to get picked up and all that sort of stuff. And really, I guess it's just a bit of a wind down before Christmas. We've been getting the usual phone calls about presents and that sort of thing. We switched off our express post on the website on the weekend because we didn't want anyone to sort of order things with express post and expect that they were going to get it before Christmas Day. And of course, this Friday we are closing until the first Wednesday in the new year. We're having a couple of days off next week, but as usual we'll probably be in here doing bits and pieces. So we'll say a few hellos to people. Hello Alex and Daryl and Brendan and Peter and the Moose, Tanya, John Belcher, Greg Gibbons, Patrick, and Alex Birkin is about to get banned from the page for asking questions like that. I think, can I ban you here? Yeah, I'm not sure if I can ban you, Alex, but I might next time. Let's jump into the news for the week. The RAM is releasing their annual mint mark coins on the 1st of January. I believe it's 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. I note that they have actually closed the mint on New Year's Day. You used to be able to go there on New Year's Day and strike coins on the first day of the year, but they've closed it, and the first 10 coins are all out by ballot now. I believe the first 10 coins struck and being delivered by mail. I guess that's to prevent queues and people camping out and things like that at the mint. It seems a bit of a shame that you can't go there on New Year's Day, but never mind. So there's a 4-coin mint mark set, a C mint mark coin in silver and in gold, as they release every year. If you go and have a hunt through the currency determinations, you'll probably work out what it is without too much effort. It's a reasonably popular topic. I'm sure it will do fine. We haven't seen the designs or anything like that, so can't comment on what they look like. The other releases a few days later are the second suite of the coloured train 50-cent pieces. So there's 3 being released in January, and they are $15 each. From what I understand, RAM dealers got the same allocation for the second group of coins as they did for the first coin and folder. So, for us that means that we'll be giving preference to people who bought off us previously so that they can fill their folders. I guess if you did buy off of us previously and you haven't told us, please just get in touch with us and let us know that you want the same again, and we will put you in our list and do our level best to make sure that you get what you got last time. I try to keep a market watch every week on sort of the secondary market of interesting things, and by secondary market I mean products that the Royal Australian Mint has released and are now just selling on other markets like eBay or Facebook or Gumtree. And I have noticed this week that the flag mint rolls have dropped right back. I saw a couple go unsold this morning for $125 each, so that's I guess those coins haven't lived up to the hype. And if you compare them with the ambulance rolls, which we're struggling to get which people are struggling to get $110 or $115 for, and those ambulance coins have been released into circulation, I think that's probably where the flag rolls will end up in the near term, at least about that $110 or $115 mark. And I think that largely has to do with that 10,000 rolls that the RAM is issuing of those things now. So and if they time it well with the release into circulation, then a lot of that hype gets taken out of the market, which I don't think is a bad thing. A couple of interesting things popped up in my news feeds this week. One was a metal detectorist in Cambridgeshire, I think, who found a Roman coin in a field and dug down a bit further and found two clay pots, one nesting inside of each other like Russian dolls, and the inside clay pot was full of coins. The metal detectorist promptly covered it up and contacted a museum, who then came and excavated it, and they found about 9,700 bronze Roman coins, which have now all been conserved. The nickname of the hoard is the Muddy Hoard, because apparently the whole pots were full of mud. They were all low value bronze coins from about AD 270 to AD 290, probably put aside by a merchant or something like that in some time of crisis, and the person never came back and picked them up. The person who metal detected them in England, they've got very particular rules over there about metal detecting. He had permission to metal detect that area and will split the proceeds of the sale of those items with the landowner. So not a bad find there, 10,000 Roman coins. The next item is a little bit different, and this was sort of a segue into various laws that are in place now in Europe and the Middle East and Asia and places like that to prevent antiquities being removed from the countries. In particular, Italy and Greece are very hot on this. But there was a man arrested in Iran who had multiple silver coins that were endemic to Iran, ancient coins, and he was trying to smuggle them out of the country. It is illegal in most European countries to remove antiquities from those countries without permission. And to this day, there are still legal challenges going on about Roman coins and Greek coins in particular that the Greek government and the Italian government believes were removed illegally from the country. What does that mean? I guess if you're into collecting that sort of stuff, then you need to ensure that the provenance is true and supportable, so that you don't end up getting chased for this sort of stuff. History, unfortunately, is littered with more powerful nations taking advantage of less powerful nations and perhaps stealing their heritage, and these sorts of rules that were brought in to prevent that sort of thing from happening. Just an interesting mention of coins in the news there. The last item in the news today is just a little error that we found in a person's collection this week. If someone brings in a collection in here, we look through it with them. We always do, and if they want to sell it, we look through it with them in some detail, and we point out things of interest with them. And when people come in here, they aren't necessarily 100% committed to selling, because perhaps they don't know what the real value of the collection is, or whether there's anything of any particular interest in there. And I guess the reason why we go through the collection with them is to just reassure them that we're genuine, we want to be genuine, and that we're paying for things that are in there that are worth some money. So this error here was one that a gentleman brought in last week, was a quantity of pre-decimal silver and some world coins, and it was really just stuff in bags. I wouldn't call it a collection, it was more of a hoard. It wasn't organised in any way. He wasn't really committed to selling it, but he said he was sick of lugging it around and was really just starting with the process of disposing of it. We spent about 45 minutes going through everything with him and happened to find this little gem here that was in a bag of world coins. He didn't even realise it was Australian. He didn't realise that it was a 10-cent piece, and I would suspect at some point in the past he's thrown that into a bag of other coins when he's got it in his change, because he didn't realise what it was. And those of you who have been around error coins for a little while would know that this is a low pressure strike. You know that it's a low pressure strike because the weakness is even across both sides of the coin, and generally with Australian coins, at least for these low pressure strikes, they tend to be more strongly struck in the centre than they are towards the edges, so you'll often see some of the portrait and design in the middle, but you won't see any of the legends around the edges. And Peter Andrews is watching IC, he might correct me here, but I believe that's because the dies aren't necessarily dead flat, that they're slightly domed, and the middle part there gets struck slightly before the outside of the coin. Great little item, you know, and worth. We paid him what we would pay for several kilos of scrap world coins. By scrap world coins, I mean leftover holiday money and things like that have no real value. And that's the value of us taking the time to look through people's collections with them. We had a gentleman come in here one day who had 800 Millennium 50-cent pieces, and he was going to go and bank them, and we encouraged him to bring it in here and look for incused millenniums, and we found 8 incused millenniums. He was stoked. He got, you know, almost as much for the 8 incused millenniums as he did in face value. So he was very pleased about that, and you know, we're pleased as well. We always like to buy things, and a 10-cent coin like this is made our week. It made his day and gives us something to talk about today. So a great little error. And if you do find a weakly struck coin like this in your change, do hang on to it, because it is, while not life-changingly valuable, it is worth hanging on to or disposing of, and perhaps netting yourself $50 or $100 for an item like this. Now, given that it is the second last edition of this video for the year, and perhaps the last, depending on my motivation next Monday, I thought, well, Catherine and I had a chat about it this morning. We just thought about, well, let's put our predictions out there for the market for next year, and by the market I mean the coin market. And it'll be especially interesting next year because the world, I think, will start to revert back much more towards normality, normal being as normal as it was 3 years ago, with international travel opening up and interstate travel opening up, and people having other avenues to spend their money as opposed to popping it into collectibles. So I cracked out the crystal ball, and on the drive on the way in this morning, I can't ever recommend anyone soothsay and drive at the same time. I'm sure that's probably against the law, but it was a crystal ball in my head, and here's the predictions that I had for the year. The first one is that I think a number of those new people that have flooded into the collecting market in the last 18 months will drop off over the next 12 months. I believe that a lot of those people have entered the market on the back of the anticipation that they could make money out of collectibles, because people have had more disposable cash in the last 2 years without holidays and things like that to spend their money on. They have had more disposable cash. The savings rate of Australians has gone up considerably in the last 18 months, and you know, it's theorised that a lot of the increase in real estate prices are due to that. People just have more money to spend on houses, and I believe that has filtered down into the collectible market. When they can go on holidays again, when people can go on holidays again, that I believe that disposable income will fall away, and a lot of those people that have surfaced in the last 12 to 18 months will probably move on to other things. And as a consequence, I think that the secondary market on social media will probably calm down a fair bit in the next 12 months, which I don't think is a bad thing. My next prediction here is that the Mint, and I think the people at the Mint are pretty switched on and don't for 1 minute believe that they only watch the sales figures for their products as they release it. They're watching the secondary market for these things as well. And rolls are a good example of that. Rolls were initially 5,000 mintage and then 7,000 and now 10,000. And the reason for that is that I'm sure that the mint is sitting there looking at Facebook sales and eBay sales of their releases on the secondary market and seeing where the money is going. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that if you release 5,000 rolls and they're instantly on the secondary market for $250 each, I'm sure the mint would much rather release 10,000 rolls and double their sales and take some of that cash out of the secondary market. They are smart people and they have good marketing people who are watching all of this stuff, and I believe that the thematically popular releases that they've noted in the last 2 years, that you'll find that perhaps the number of those releases goes up, and certainly the coins issued in each of those releases goes up in an endeavour to, I guess, grab more of that capital out of the secondary market. The flag rolls and the ambulance rolls are a great example of that. They just haven't done anything on the secondary market, and we think back 2 years to what rolls were doing 2 years ago. Some of them had hit $400 and $500 within a month of release. These have settled down much quicker now, so that's my next prediction. The third one here is that storage of your collection is going to become more important than ever, and I think this is linked to the first one here about the 2021 collectors dropping off. A lot of these people that have come in to collecting coins recently that perhaps are after chasing dollars, they are going to fall out of the market, and those collections are going to get sort of shoved to one side and perhaps stored without much thought. At some point, all of that inventory is going to come back onto the market, and if it has been stored poorly, then it behooves you to store your collection well, so that when you're ready to get rid of yours is a premium product compared with this stuff that is stored badly. And that comes from real experience here in the shop, where we see 10, 15, 20-year-old collections coming in, and some of them are stored beautifully and we pay a premium for those, and some of them are stored poorly and we do not pay a premium for those. In fact, for some products that are stored poorly, Catherine refuses to sell it through the website. It is only sold here in the shop, and that's because it is too difficult explaining the problems with packaging on the website, and we just prefer to sell stuff that's in immaculate condition. So for you as long-term collectors, storage of your collection is going to be more important than ever, and that means taking stuff out of PVC. It means making sure that rolls are in tubes. It means making sure that boxes don't get crushed, that certificates stay with boxes. You keep moisture out of the collection, all that sort of stuff. Most of that doesn't cost anything, really. The tubes and things like that, they don't cost you anything, and air-sealed containers from storage shops and things like that aren't particularly expensive. So do make sure that you keep your collection stored properly. I was going to show a PVC banknote page today that a gentleman brought in to show me this week. It was a 10 shilling note had been in it, and he ripped the note getting it out of the PVC page because it was stuck, and there was a beautiful amount of ink that had been transferred off of the note onto the page, where you could basically see the whole design of the note on the page because the ink had leached into the PVC so badly. It was quite terrible. I believe that smart collectors will search for value, and what do I mean? I mean by looking at older releases that perhaps the market isn't so interested in right now, that have perhaps lower release figures, that are still interesting themes that haven't I guess taken off on the secondary market. And I feel like some of the earlier rolls, 2015 and 2016, there's some opportunities there. I feel like there's a bunch of $1.50 releases in the early 2000s and the early 2010s that have incredibly low mintages that perhaps haven't taken off on the secondary market. And I feel like in world coins and pre-decimal coins, there are great opportunities there. There are some genuinely low mintage coins in fantastic condition about the place that sell for almost nothing, and at some point they will certainly take off those things. So I feel like that the smart collectors will be looking for value. And this last one here is more of a hope than a prediction. is I'd like to see pre-decimals take off. I feel like that market has really slowed down. I feel like there are real opportunities for people to put together a nice historic coin collection in reasonable condition for not much money, and that for some top quality items the prices are still are quite undervalued, and the person who can grade accurately, there are still great opportunities for you in the pre-decimal market. I'd love to see pre-decimal proofs take off. We can't sell them. We've got a box full and you just can't sell them. And some of those are 1200 mintage, and they're still worth $100, less than $100. And there'll never be any more of those. And I think there's wonderful opportunities there for people if they want to get into that market. That's my predictions for 2022. I've tried not to be the whole coin dealer, everything is going to go up, up, up. I've tried to be as honest as possible with that sort of stuff. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that via email or Facebook message this week about where you think things are going. If anyone has anything great to share with me, then I will put that out next week into next week's video. Let's have a look at some of the comments. Peter says he predicts the RAM will release $2 more, more $2 coins, and I've just forgotten a terrible pun I was supposed to inject into this video. I'm sure that some of the mint releases next year will create a buzz amongst the collecting community, and I'll let you read into that what you will. What do I think of the value of coins, notes, etc. once the world goes cashless? Shane, interesting. I don't think it's going to go cashless anytime soon. So, I probably don't like to predict. I don't think we're going to go cashless anytime soon. And hello, Cam and Cody and Glennis. And thanks, Alex, for your comment on pre-decimal proofs. Right, that's it for today. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Hopefully, I'll be back next week on Monday, perhaps from doing it from home. If I'm not back next week, I'd like to thank everyone for watching this year, and I'd like to thank all those people out there that have supported us during the year, whether it be on social media or by buying things off of us or just coming in here and talking to us. Catherine and I have had a fabulous year, and it would not have been remotely as fun without all of our friends that we have made since we've been here, and we just can't thank you enough. We look forward to carrying on next year in the same vein and having a good time with you next year. Keep doing these videos next year because I do enjoy doing them. Stay safe, everyone. Merry Christmas for next Saturday, and if we don't catch up next week, have a happy New Year, and we'll see you next time.